Happy Memorial Day from Bucks Island. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, May 25th. Hey, don't forget out there, folks, it's going to be a real busy weekend with lots of boats on the water. Of course, we're going to have people at the shop to come see, but the most important thing right now is we're going to check in with the guys, help us put a few more fish in the boat. We're going to talk to our usual crew with the exception of we're adding Tracy Robinson for Logan Martin and Lake. But we'll talk to Tom, Lee, and Gentry about theirs. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. Hey, we're joined by Tom Ott, our good friend from that lake in the sky, Lake Guntersville. Tom, what's going on the big lake?
The promised land that we call the Big G. I'm telling you, Dano. Things are really hot right now, man. Fish are biting just about everywhere. And when I mean everywhere, from depths up, 2 feet out to 20 feet. So, I mean, there's fish all in between. The brim are up shallow. The bass are chasing brim early. It's a great time to get you a popper bite, maybe even, throw that spook out there a little bit. But I think they're really keying on a little bit smaller bait. That's why I like the popper right now this time of year. But and then as the day, as the sun gets higher, which I don't know that we're going to have much of that this weekend, but as the sun gets a little higher, you move out to those ledges, and that's where you're really going to put your bag together, I think. And again, they're still not everywhere. And most, when I'm talking ledges, I'm talking that 12, 15-foot depth. But there are some deeper ledges where fish are starting to make that migration to. But, if you land on a nice school, that's perfect. There's just a lot of traffic out there, and obviously a lot of boat traffic and pleasure boat traffic this weekend. So you guys just be safe when you're out there, but and be courteous to your other anglers. But look for those fish out on those ledges, the creek bends, things like that. You're going to load the boat up, I'm sure.
I saw an Instagram picture with MLF pro Randy Howell and his son Laker, and then I also saw another image of Randy and Oakley. They've done some damage out there. Said it was ledge fishing. What are the keys right now to finding good stuff on those ledges?
Electronics. I think are probably local knowledge electronics. But if you put your electronics on, you can find those fish. I mean, look for where the creeks are intersecting the main lake river, the main river channel. I also look for humps along those river channel edges, and obviously shell beds are always, any of your hard bottom stuff. You're not going to find a lot of grass out there where these fish are staging. So, look for your hard bottom stuff anywhere where you have breaks in the main river channel. And you can find that on any large topo map. And then once you run over it with your electronics, you're going to know if there's fish there or not. And, the best baits, detriment to Lee, but the old ball and chain, the cheater rig catches a lot of fish. And of course, any kind of jig, structure heads, big shaky heads right now are really coming on. So, you just got to kind of ply those areas. And a lot of times these fish have been worked on a little bit, especially on the weekends. So, try something a little different if you're not getting bit and seeing fish, of course.
Yeah, and then if you're going to fish shallow around those brim beds, like you said, a popper frog, or maybe even a wacky rig Cinco around the grass beds will do you some damage. Hey, Tom, I appreciate everything. We will talk to you again next week, my friend.
All right, guys, y'all be good. Have a good Memorial Day weekend. Watch for those pleasure boaters out there. Tight lines, we'll talk to you next week.
Hey, we're joined by our good friend Lee Pitts, the crappie king of Weiss Lake, who's been known to smash a few bass heads. Let's talk a little Neely Henry right now. Lee, what's going on there?
Well, it's about like I told you last week. Some of the guys that listened to our report came up to me after the tournament and said, I believe you nailed that one. Still the same thing. The guys that kind of get on a shad spawn and catch them pretty quick early, are getting some fish, but you're just digging through the smaller fish still right now. And as you saw with our tournament last week, with the guys that were there, and you had some of the best sticks around, a lot of small fish being caught. I don't really know what's going on with the big females right now. Still this week, it's been the same thing. Catching fish in the grass, catching fish on wood cover, catch them about any way you want to, but you've had to really slow down with some finesse worms, creature baits, things like that. The things I like to do, the swim jig, buzz baits, frogs, things like that, have been a little slow again this week. It's just that I'm hoping that the fish are still in that timid stage, coming out off the spawn, still in that post spawn, just not really wanting to get real aggressive right now. And they're not everywhere. You may fish the same thing, same wood cover, same grass in 5 or 6 different pockets of 5 or 6 different stretches of river, and then hit one 20-yard stretch that you'll catch 5 or 6 fish in. So it's just a strange time right now. Fish are really not doing what they should be doing right now.
Well, everything's been a little bit behind this year, but I'm assuming a crappie bite is kind of rough right now on Neely, maybe a little dock shooting and deep stuff.
They're pulling out, they're trying to get on the edges of these docks and the fronts of the docks, and they're coming out of the bays. So your deeper structure is where they're going to be also.
All right, turn our attention to Weiss Lake, your home pond. What's going on there? We got 30 seconds. Tell me the good stuff.
It's almost a repeat of what I just told you earlier. It's the same thing here. We're having in our evening tournaments and even our weekend tournaments. Last weekend had 65 boats out of Little River and 14 pounds won. It's still in that just the post-spawn lull, I guess you would say. Smaller fish, catching them on worms, trick worms, lizards. I know a lot of guys were catching fish on lizards with small 16-ounce weight on it, swimming it through the grass, but it's just that power fishing where you can go in there and swing for the fences is just not really doing it right now.
A little finesse flipping, Aaron Martin style. Lee, appreciate everything, brother, and we will talk to you again next week.
All right, guys. I hope I'll have a little better news for you next week.
Hey, we're joined by a special guest this week, filling in for Josh Herron. We got Tracy Robinson, and he is the hammer up here in northern Alabama. And we're going to talk a little Logan Martin and Lay Lake. I'm going to get selfish this time because I'm fishing the Coosa River Team Trail on Lay Lake this weekend. Tell me what's happening at Lay, Tracy.
Yeah, Lay, big Coosa River Team Trail tournament coming up this weekend. We spent a little time down there. For me, I'm a grass guy, so Lay's an ideal for me. I go there and everything is grass for me, and you can kind of pick your poison there. If you're like me and you really like fishing the grass, for me, it's the top water in the mornings around the grass. Spinner baits, maybe even the shad spawn's kind of tailing off now. Maybe seeing a little bit of shad in the grass, but the actual shad spawn's kind of at this point gone. But there's still some shad activity and fish feeding on early in the mornings in the grass. But I still stick with the grass even during the day as the sun pops up. Right now, I'm turning to the punching baits and even the Cincos right in the thicker edges of it. All grass for me. So I do have some buddies down there, though. It's kind of on the old Coosa River. It's turning into the kind of the dog days of summer, if you will. Had the good rain a week or so ago that created a little bit of current fish, but that's kind of gone now. It's back to just maybe a turbine here and there. So the current fish, upper end of the lake, a little bit more challenging to get bit on right now. Mid to lower end of Lay Lake is where it seems like more activity is going on right now, more bait fish being eaten. You can kind of see activity. Couple of my buddies, 8 to 10 foot brush piles. I don't know where a ton of those are, Dano, but I know that that's what they're targeting. I know they're catching good fish out of those, and that's a really good pattern right now. It's just not my pattern. I stick with the grass, daylight to dark, but I know they're catching some really good ones, throwing plastics and jigs in some of the 8 to 10 foot brush piles that they're aware of. So that's about all I could give you right now for Lay.
All right, we got about 45 seconds left. Let's talk about Logan Martin. Tell me what's going on there other than the pleasure boaters.
Yeah, Logan Martin again. Summertime, not as much current. It's really tough lake with all the boaters out there. Logan Martin, the water comes up a lot later there, so they were really late in the process of spawning. So some of those fry garters are still there. You can get bit around the docks on the dock type baits, the plastics, the jigs, chatterbaits around the docks with some of those late spawners. Spots are already kind of set up on the summer stuff. They're easy to see out on those points if you're scanning, down image, even the side scan or the forward facing. But the spots are out there. The grass is starting to grow now that the waters came up, so you got some good options on the grass. seawall bites phenomenal in the morning, topwater, poplars, spooks, buzzbaits. So a lot of different ways to catch them at Logan Martin right now, both largemouth and spotted bass. So you can get bit. Finding the quality is probably going to be the bigger challenge.
Tracy, as always, brother, we appreciate the fill-in. Love having you on, and we'll talk to you again next time.
All right. Thank you, Dano.
Hey, we're joined by Gentry Gordy, our stud hammer from down there around Lower Alabama. Going to talk a little bit of Lake Martin and a little bit of Jordan Lake fishing. Hey, let's start at Jordan Lake right now, Gentry.
All right. Jordan's a lot better than Martin, of course. I ain't saying much, but it is. But, I got a chance I talked to some guys. My dad went up there, and they're scattered, just typical this time of year. First thing in the morning, you can catch them on seawalls and grass lines. You can punch the grass all day and get a better bite. But two, it made me think. I had a memory pop up on Facebook a couple of years ago. At this time of year, we had 21 pounds, I think, at Jordan, but we jump fished. And I can remember it, like brim-colored crankbaits in 8 foot of water where the 360 or something showed us a log or a brush pile. So, they were pulled off. The full moon, the brim beds, it's 2 foot of water to 20 foot of water. They're just scattered. You just got to cover a lot of water. But, your medium running crankbaits, your Cincos, like a bluegill colored Cinco, green pumpkin around a dock is good. Some of your deeper docks. And and later in the day, I go punch grass. I mean, that's my style of fishing. If you get some current, but this weekend's gonna be tough for sure with the pleasure boaters. But
yeah, I imagine it will be. Dude, this time of the year, I like a hard crankbait, a hard thumping one, like a Bomber 6F or something like that. Those are great crankbaits in this time of year. All right, let's turn to Lake Martin. Let's talk about what's going on over there.
Time to go night fishing. It's I mean, it's just Lake Martin, Dano, this time of year, it's tough. It's tough. If you're going to go this weekend, just be careful, get up there early and get out of there before lunchtime. Your topwater bites are still going on and, a little 4-inch swim bait on a jig head, throwing it deep, targeting some of them spots. It's pulled off in the mouth of those pockets and stuff. I mean, you can still have fun. But it's dangerous, get off there before lunchtime. Now the nighttime, the lights, that's picking up, real good. With, like you said, that Bomber, shad color, medium running crankbait around those green lights up there, glide baits and a black and blue jig. That's, if I was going, I'd go at night up there at Martin right now.
Yeah, well, you know what they said in the movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer. I like the nightlife. I like the
That's right.
Yeah. Gentry, appreciate everything, brother. Thanks for the time.
All right, guys.
Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, May 25th. Hey, if you're not on the water yourself this Memorial Day weekend, come on by and see us at the shop on Saturday, 8 to 2. We are going to be closed on Monday to let our families and our employees spend a little time together and enjoy a day off. But other than that, if you're looking for that boat, come see the sales staff, Katie and the people over there. Or if you're looking for the parts, come see Pat and everybody. Service, go see Misty and Brittany and Chris over there. And then, of course, the loft upstairs. Go see Colin and Jamie if you're looking for that tackle. But we will be back next week. Thanks for spending the time with us, and we will talk to you again soon.